For the Boston Celtics, a brilliant title defense season, but in the conference semifinals, bad illness, bad health, bad karma, bad decisions, bad shooting, and bad injury luck. And they ran into the wrong team at the wrong time, because the New York Knickerbockers are beginning to look like a team of destiny. And 25 years after their last appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals, the New York Knicks are back, and Madison Square Garden is back in the NBA's Final Four. The final score in Game 6, New York 119, Boston 81.
Yeah, it's funny, that call, I wonder how many Celtics fans actually heard it, because that's the series that didn't happen. Wait, the Knicks series lost? No, they quickly memory hold that one. And it's funny, I had forgotten it too. I thought Sean Grandy, always good with the call, but he teased it there a little bit why they ended up losing that series. He said bad shooting, but to be more accurate, it would have been bad coaching and bad offensive philosophy. That's why they lose to the Knicks last year.
That didn't make the final cut there.
No.
Grandy's season-ending monologue. But this is where we will start today. You can join us at 617-779-0985. Murray, what are you expecting from this team this year?
As long as Jaylen Brown and Derek White remain healthy, they have enough to remain competitive in Eastern Conference. In an Eastern Conference, I don't feel that strong about. I don't know how you can. Like, Cleveland's the prohibitive favorite, but I don't really think all that much of them in terms of winning a title. But the Cavs being the favorite, fine. The Knicks, okay, they're probably better than the Celtics right now, but not by much. And from there, Orlando, Detroit, young, plucky teams. Are they better than the Celtics? I don't necessarily think so. From there, the Bucks. What's Giannis? How dialed in is he going to be when it feels like he wants to leave that team? The Heat, the Hawks, Sixers, they're all beat up. I'm supposed to believe that Joel Embiid is now healthy. The Celtics will be in the mix. They should be at worst a 4 or 5 seed. And at best, I could see them being a 3 seed this year.
McCarthy?
The national expectations are way too low for this team. My expectations are high for them. High considering they are going to be missing their best player for the majority of the year, and who knows what he's going to look like coming back. But right now, they have the 8th best odds to win the East. They're probably the 4th best team in the Eastern Conference. They're right in the middle of that pack. Their over-under is 41.5. They're significantly better than that. My expectations are that they will be not the best team in the East, but certainly right in the middle of the pack, probably 4 or 5, somewhere in there, and let's see what it looks like when Jason Tatum gets back. My expectations shouldn't be any lower than that, and I don't think Celtics fans should have any lower expectations than that. This team is still good enough in a weak Eastern Conference to be right in the mix, and that's what I fully expect from them, and anything less than that is a disappointment.
So you've probably seen, and you have too, Mike, some of the national, hoop heads saying, well, they'll probably be a play-in team. What am I not seeing?
Me neither.
What am I not getting?
I don't.
And are we collectively overrating? So is it we're collectively overrating Jaylen Brown and what he can be, and can he be a true number one? Are we overrating Derek White? Maybe. He's my favorite player on the team. I like the role players. We think that the coach and coaches in the NBA are probably overrated a bit, but he does get buy-in from these guys, and they're battle-tested. They did win a championship. Some of this core is still here, including the most 2 important parts with Tatum out right now in Brown and Derek White. I don't get it. The talk of them being a play-in team to me is nuts.
It's just an overreaction to them losing their best player.
Yeah, it's probably what it is.
An overreaction. I mean, you dock them for not having their best player, obviously. They become much lesser of a team, but how much lesser? I just think people are overstating it, McCarthy.
41 wins puts them at the Orlando Magic from last year. You're telling me that you are a 7-8 seed play-in type of team? Come on. With Jaylen Brown and Derek White, I get it. They don't have a front court. And, of course, they're missing Jason Tatum. But in this conference, they're so much better than that. And I just don't want that to be the narrative entering this year. If they do scuffle at times, if they are, around 500, because 41, that's a 500 team. If there are stretches this year where they're playing like that, I'm sorry, that's an underachievement with the roster that they still have, even with the holes they have.
So I know their front court is weak. They don't have bigs. A lot of teams don't have bigs. It's not the league's about wings, and we all know this by now. So, of course, they're weak up front. So are a lot of teams that are weak up front. If they don't hit the over, something went wrong. Or Jaylen Brown's hurt. That's it. Or Jaylen Brown is not the guy that we think that he is, or he thinks that he is. When you talk about who's got the most to gain or lose, isn't it Jaylen Brown?
I don't know how you could name anyone else. He's expected to take a larger role offensively. and show off as a playmaker, show off more of a scorer, and I think he wants to do that. Yeah, he's got the most to gain here because there's been speculation. Could he be a one? I think he himself thinks he could be, the leader and a number one, the best scoring option for a team. Now's his chance to prove it. He's got the most to gain or lose this season while Tatum is out.
He fancies himself as a number one, and he is the one that continues to carry on about the sacrifices that he makes to be here, and he continues to carry on about him and the city and his comfort level in the city and his comfort level being who he is. He's really sort of laid it on thick with all that stuff. Well, now here you are. Here it is. Here's your team. You fancy yourself an all-NBA player, a top 15 player in the league. I think he's a top 15, top 20 player in the league. I think that's what he is. If he views himself as that, he views himself as someone who could be a number one on another team. He talks about the sacrifices he makes here, implying, and not even just implying, telling you that if I were somewhere else, I'd be the one. I'm the one that's making the sacrifice to subjugate myself. So, he's very dramatic about the thing. So, okay, Jaylen, here you go. This is your team. It'll be your team for the foreseeable future if you are who you say you are and you carry on about. Here, let's see it. And if they're not and he's not, then he's got to own that. So I think he's sort of
he's put it on himself.
He's put it on himself as much as anything.
I mean, I think there are varying degrees of being a number one in the NBA, though, right? Are you a number one on a championship team? Are you a number one on a middle-of-the-pack Eastern Conference team? Are you a number one on a deep playoff team?
Right,
exactly. And that's what we don't have the answer on with Jaylen Brown. That being said, he is a number one type player on a team that should finish 5th or 6th in the Eastern Conference. I think that's the floor for him.
Being a number one on a team that sucks is not what we're talking about.
Correct.
Or what he's implying. He's implying that he belongs in the upper echelon of stars in the NBA.
And that we will get our answer on. But even if it's the floor of that thing, I just still don't see them below 5th place in the Eastern Conference. We'll find out if he's a number one guy who can carry a team to, be the 2 or 3 seed in a deep playoff run.
My point is, McCarthy, that if they are lower than a 5th, I think most people are going to look to Jaylen Brown and say, you're not the guy you think you are.
And I just have a hard time seeing it playing out that way, but I would agree with you.
Okay, right.
So I think that's the floor for this team.
You don't think it's going to happen. I'm telling you, who's got the most to lose? And I think it's Jaylen Brown for that reason. Because you don't think it's going to happen. And if it happens, it's because he's not the player that he thinks he is. Period. Are the stakes the same for the coach? Because I don't think so.
No, I don't think the stakes are as high for Joe Missoula. But if there's a 1B to that question, who has the most to gain or lose this year, it is Missoula. Because who else would it be on the team? All these other guys, as much as we think highly of Derek White's Derek White. He's not one of the superstars of the game. Joe Missoula now has an opportunity to prove his ability to win with lesser talent. So we're going to see. He has something to gain or lose here, too.
See, the problem is I don't think the stakes are high enough for Joe Missoula. Even if
he just got re-upped, so you're right.
Right, exactly. Let's say this is a disappointing year. Is Joe Missoula going to be held accountable the way he should be? No.
So listen, in terms of these are all stakes in terms of perception. Because Jaylen Brown's got a big, massive contract, and Joe Missoula just got extended to a big, massive contract. They're not in danger of losing their jobs or being traded or being fired. That's not what I'm implying. I'm implying who's got the most to lose in the court of public opinion.
It's those two guys.
Yeah.
Do you think Missoula has real stakes, McCarthy?
So in regards to public opinion, yeah, sort of. But in regards to actual stakes with his job and any type of security, no, they love him. They believe in him. They've bought into Joe Missoula as much as Joe Missoula has bought into being Joe Missoula and the way he approaches things and how he's got all the right answers. So, no, in the end, I don't think that there are too many stakes for him this year when it comes to actually having to prove yourself. I think in the eyes of the Celtics, in the eyes of ownership, in the eyes of the front office, he has proven himself, and it is what it is. See, I don't think it should be that way.
I think, way to frame this is sort of nationally. What are they going to be saying nationally? Because locally, most Celtics fans are going to be supportive of the team and the coach, and that's not a fair gauge. Because it's a pretty soft standard that most fans have for this team. Nationally, I think people are going to look at the Celtics if they underachieve and say Jaylen Brown's not the guy that he thinks he is. But I think on the coach, they're going to look at the coach and say, well, what do you want? He lost his best player. Well, what do you expect to happen? So I think Missoula's going to get the break that Jaylen Brown's not if they underachieve. if they overachieve or properly achieve, I think Missoula's going to get Coach of the Year consideration because that's the way that works, right? Like,
well, the expectations again nationally are so low that you're right.
well,
yeah.
the Coach of the Year is usually someone that takes a team from last place to first place, or has big injuries and still stays on top. Like that's usually it's not usually the front running, the coach on the favorite team on the powerhouse that gets it. It's a defying expectation story.
The little engine that could, Coach.
So I think Missoula's playing with house money this year. Even though we all know better, I think he is a purely mediocre coach. And I think that when your roster's at an elite level, he's actually hurting you. And I think he and his style got in the way of you having a chance to win another championship last year. I am not high on him as a coach at a championship level. But I think nationally, people are going to give him a break if they underachieve. And I think it's going to be easy to say he lost his best player. What do you expect? And he's not going anywhere. And I just think he's going to sort of get a pass.
He's got the out that Jaylen Brown doesn't. Because
Right.
Jaylen Brown's talked himself up again as like a number one option in the league. Missoula's a coach. Coaches have the outs if they don't have their best player.
Let me give you – I'm sorry, Phil.
No, people will just be like, well, what do you got to do?
Yeah.
There's no Tatum.
Let me give you one more that I think for a player has some stakes. Jimmy Stewart. What's going to be their starting lineup? Is Pritchard going to start or is he going to come off the bench?
I don't think so. I think Pritchard's going to stay coming off the bench.
So it's White, Simons, Jaylen Brown, Sam Hauser, Queta, or whoever's up front.
That sounds right, yeah.
So I wish Pritchard were starting because I think he fancies himself, a starting quality player. A lot of his fans here think that he'd be, all-star. We get calls like this, don't we? Who is it? Is it Dean in Shrewsbury?
I would tell you that if Peyton Pritchard is a starter on a bottom 10 NBA team, he's an all-star because he'll just fill up the empty volume of points.
He himself had a point there a few years ago where he felt underutilized and was like, well, then trade me.
He thinks he's mini Steph Curry. I mean, let's face it, he does. And
Fact,
you know
not
what?
opinion.
Well, he's got to have that. He's probably got to have it because he's undersized guy who's coming from the rear, if you will. You know what I mean? So he's got to have confidence in himself. I get it. But is he the player he thinks he is? Is he the player that a lot of you all think that he is? Did he win Sixth Man of the Year last year?
He did.
He did.
So he won it. So, if he was on another team, he'd be a starter and he'd really be something. And if he had he's another guy that I think is going to, whether he's starting or not, is going to have an increased role. And he's another guy that you'll be able to look at and say, well, are you really the guy you think you are? And if he is, they'll be an over 41-win team. If he's not, they'll be under. That's another guy that I'll point to and say, no, what you really are, Peyton, is, the 7th, 8th guy on the bench, the token shooter off the bench on a good team, and that's really what you are.
They just must think he's a defensive liability. And look, hand up, I don't know enough about Simons, but I would like to think that tenure would matter a little bit. Again, also winning that award last year, Sixth Man of the Year. I would prefer to see him in the starting lineup, but look, again, that's me just maybe not knowing enough about Simons.
Okay, so we're off and running. Those are sort of takeaway Celtics thoughts as the season opens tonight.
Taking a lot of threes because your personnel is allowed for it these past few years. You guys are employing a faster paced style this year. Is the process of getting to those changed at all because of the faster pace? Does it lend to it differently, or is it just the same process?
I've answered that question 100 times. Find the 2-on-1, make the right play versus the 2-on-1. That's that simple. Could be a 3, could be a layup. Find the 2-on-1. Do it. I've answered that for 2 years now. Find the 2-on-1. What does a 2-on-1 present? Are there 2 shooters on the 2-on-1? There's 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You pass, you get an open shot. There's not 2 shooters on the 2-on-1. You cut. You create a 2-on-1 in a different way. I've answered that for 3 years. Why do we keep asking that? Create 2-on-1s, find a 2-on-1. Everybody should be able to answer that question verbatim based on my answers to that question for almost 3 years now. What's our offensive philosophy? Create 2-on-1s. What do you do when you create the 2-on-1? Read it, find it. Last year there was 2 38% three-point shooters in a 2-on-1 situation, so it was a pass shot. This year there may not be a 38 to 40% three-point shooter on a 2-on-1 situation, so that 2-on-1 may be created off a cut. And then you can create a 2-on-1 in a different way than the cut allows us to get an offensive rebound. I don't understand. Why is it so hard? I said it for 3 years. I mean, you just keep ignoring what I said. Find a 2-on-1, make the right play versus a 2-on-1. For however long I'm here, that will be the offensive philosophy.
Okay, got that, class? So this is another big subtext to the season. How are they going to play?
I keep saying it, and you're not listening. That's a you problem. You should be able to repeat it verbatim.
Again, this guy.
Like a scorned lover.
make the right play versus the
Yeah.
For however
Even though
long I'm
he's-
here, that will be the offensive philosophy.
Even though he's just started to say that in the last couple of weeks. So his cockamamie, numbers-driven offensive approach was exposed badly last year. It cost you badly last year. Everybody knows it because he's kind of insecure, small. He can't come close to bringing himself to admit it. So now what he's going to do is going to turn around, and when they play differently this year, say, see, I've been saying all along, it's all about the 2-on-1s. It's not about the threes. Even though he wasn't really saying that. He's just saying that now because he can't bring himself to admit that what they did last year was taking it too far. So how are they going to play? That's another subtext. How do you think they're going to play, McCarthy?
I think it's going to be bombs away. Maybe not to the full extent that it was last year, but pretty damn close to it. Because, again, Joe Missoula, his greatest flaw as a coach is he's too stubborn. You know, he's going to say, we don't have any big men. We can't go to the rim. We need to shoot. We need to shoot. We need to shoot. We're going to run. We're going to shoot. And it's going to be this thing over and over and over again, and you're going to play the math, and you're going to play the numbers. It is going to be similar to what it has been in recent years, and that is not good. It is not a good thing.
I think worse, and I'm only basing that having talked to Brian Rubb, who produces Gasper and Murray on Saturdays, B. Rubb in the closet, covering the Celtics from Mass Live. When he went to Media Day, I was like, hey, you know, what do you glean from this? Tell me what you think they're going to be this year. And he said, well, they're going to look to play fast, and with that, they're going to be shooting maybe 60, 70 threes some games.
Good.
When I said that, I was like, you're joking, right? It's going to be worse. So, yeah, after hearing that, and he made a case further, I can't remember verbatim. Sorry, Joe. But it sounds like, yeah, you could be seeing games where they're going to be shooting up to 60 to 73s a game, which is, I think, insane.
We'll
Find
see.
a 2-on-1, make the right play versus a 2-on-1. For however long I'm here, that will be the offensive philosophy.
Even though 3 years ago he said the three-point attempt rate's the most important stat in basketball. So, listen, another subtext to the season. How are they going to play? To your calls here, as promised. How about Josh in North Attleboro? Lead us off, Josh.
Oh, God, Joe Missoula is such a tool bag. I mean, I can't even stand this guy. But the reason why I called was I'm actually I'm thinking about the Jaylen Brown situation. I'm actually looking at it the other way. I think if he has a really good year, he's going to be wanting out. I don't think he really wants to be here long term. I think he could potentially ask for out after this year. We're not going to be, championship contenders. I can see him asking for a trade. Houston, Dallas, I mean, maybe Atlanta, his hometown. I think that's a real concern here.
Josh, let me tell you something. It's a real concern for any superstar on any team, short of Steph Curry in Golden State or, a few guys. So, yeah, welcome to the NBA. Eventually these guys are going to move on. They're going to want to move on, or you're going to want to move them on, or it's just no team is Steph Curry might be the last guy that I can think of, that's not going to move. So, yeah, but is it possible that if he has a really great year and he really establishes himself as a number one, does that make him a greater flight risk?
I don't know. I think that would be a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I think we know that anyway. I don't think that he's comfortable in this city and never has been. And I've only seen clips. So another thing, not only does he talk himself up as he wants to be a number one, he's now being marketed as a number one. I know you probably haven't seen this, but they're in season 2 of this show on Netflix called Starting Five. And he's one of the players that's featured in it. It's SGA, and he just, he and his team just won the championship. Tyrese Halliburton, Durant, and James Harden. So Jaylen Brown's in it, too. And in some of the clips that I've seen, he talks about, the suffocating nature of the city. It's all the same stuff we've always heard. Mm-hmm. But if he balls out and has a great year and he now looks like on the floor as a number one option, great. That's a good problem to have.
Listen,
and he'll still be miserable here.
Yes, that's right. I think Brown leaving is a matter of time. It's not when. It's not if, it's when.
Right.
But having a good year accelerate that? I don't know. But I think it's happening either way.
It will. It will, because if Jaylen Brown ends up being a number one star, you think this ownership group wants to get rid of a $300 million contract? I promise you that they do at this rate.
So, okay. Then, because if he'll be more marketable,
He'll be more marketable. You'll get a bigger package back. Some team will be like, we'll give you 7 first-round picks, 4 actual picks, 3 swaps, and we'll give you this player, this player, this player, and you can get rid of the $300 million contract so you don't have 2 of them on your books.
Interesting. Maybe it does. Maybe it does make him more of a flight risk. Paul in Fairhaven with another subtext of the season. Yes, Paul, quickly.
Hey. Real quick, I looked up the new owner. I was thinking about him. He's the first new owner ever in NBA history to buy a contending championship team and break it up. He ought to be ashamed of himself. He bought the team for $6 billion. Who cares about the luxury tax? One more year with Tatum coming back. We went 38 years between titles. This is a joke. He's a jerk.
Okay, I don't know about a jerk. That's quick and strong. But ownership. Okay, two things. One is the thing he's just said. What if they're pretty good this year? What if Tatum comes back and they're even better, and they're a true, real contender, and you're rolling out Namus Queta and
Luka Garza.
Baylor Shireman.
Who? What?
Hugo Gonzalez.
Yeah, and you're rolling out these guys. Who's the other?
Garza?
No, yeah, Luka Garza. Luka swims with the fishes, Garza. And no, who's the
Baylor Shireman? The one?
No, Boucher. Bane Boucher. Who
Chris
am I
Boucher.
talking?
Bobby Boucher? What?
Chris Boucher, exactly. You're rolling out these guys because you had to get under the luxury tax. Okay, that you'll absolutely should look at the owner. 100%. You got $6 billion to buy the team. You don't have, I know it sounds crazy, $100 million more to win a championship. You know what I mean? But that's the price of playing poker. The other thing is Wick really still here?
Yeah.
Making decisions?
I mean, it feels that way. I saw a clip of him this morning doing the morning show on the competition. So when I saw that too, I'm like, still? Like, don't you want to talk to the real owner?
But but it's not just that. It's like this new guy, this Chisholm. Are you just keeping him around because Wick wants to continue to play owner? Which is, turns out, what he's been doing for the last 20 years. Just walking around like he owns the place. Does he want to keep doing that? Which, again, I don't blame Wick. I'd want to keep doing that, too. It's a good gig. Act like the owner, even though it's not your money. Like, talk about a great
Mike,
gig.
I think Chisholm has 16%. I think Wick has 14% ownership stake.
Right, but Chisholm has controlling interest. So,
for now.
So what are you saying, Jimmy? Now you've confused me and interrupted me. Just go ahead. What do you mean?
I'm saying that I think long-term there might be a play for Wick to buy back full ownership of the team just slowly. Like Pags eventually was getting more and more percentage until he had a good enough percentage, not enough ultimately. But I could see Wick in like 3 or 4 years having more percentage of ownership than Chisholm.
Okay.
Look, all I know is if I spent all that.
Play? So that's the answer to what's going on here?
That's what I think.
Okay.
If I just spent all this money,
that's a story.
And I'm right now, I'm the owner, and I have the most stakes in the team. I wouldn't want the old guy around. That would be me.
I just think the whole thing's weird. So either Chisholm, dude, are you that like out of your element that you got to keep the old owner to spend your money? Like, what's up with that? Or is it all just a charade? They're just letting, there's part of the sale. One of the reasons Wick steered it to the Chisholm group because Chisholm gave him a promise. You can still walk around like you own the place. And I'll still let you, play. I'll still let you play the part, even though it's not your team. And so Chisholm is just living up to that part of the agreement. Or does Chisholm really need him to stick around and make decisions? What's up with that? Or is it Jimmy's thing? Like, Wick is really still, there's something in the works where long-term Wick's going to work his way back into being the actual real owner?
Whatever it is, the optics are strange, I think.
It's not a stable ownership situation, right? That's how I would characterize this. This guy doesn't want to spend money? Does Wick actually want control? Does he have any control? Like, whatever it is, I don't feel good about it, and you shouldn't feel good about it. And the results this summer were not the sign of an ownership situation that I feel good about as a Celtics fan moving forward.
Well, whatever. There's a story there. It's an interesting dynamic. And just get ready for absolutely no one in town who covers the team to go anywhere near it. The only place you're going to get it is Jimmy Stewart or, places like here. Because no one's going to touch that thing with a 10-foot pole. But what the hell is going on? Like, Wick hasn't owned the team for 20 years, yet he's still walking around like he owns a team? What? Why? And I don't know what it really matters or not, but don't you find that unusual?
Yes, especially now. Again, it's being sold. Why are you still like...
It's one thing when his dad owned it, and so he let his kid walk around like he owned the team. Now someone else owns it. And you still let him walk around like he owns the team? Okay. Why?